Feast or famine isn't a lead problem. It's a system problem, and it's quietly capping everything that you make. You see, the roller coaster isn't the market. It's the machine that you haven't built yet. Welcome to the Climb 7-Figure Nightmare number 3, Feast or Famine Leads. By the end of this thing, I want you to know why the roller coaster happens and the 3 pieces of a lead flow that you can count on. Because the truth is, you don't have a lead problem. You have a consistency problem. And you make your worst decisions in the famine. The bad deal, the discount that you shouldn't have given, the desperation yes. Here's the truth. Predictable beats big every single time. And a steady flow that you trust changes how you negotiate everything. You know this. A steady flow that you trust changes the way that you negotiate everything. When you know predictably that you're going to get leads in the future, when you know predictably that there's going to be more leads down because you're keeping your pipeline full, you're doing the things that are required in order for you to have leads later on down the road, you're going to negotiate a lot differently than if you think that this is the last lead you might get for a little while. This is the last lead that I'm going to get, and I don't know where the next one is going to come from. That makes you make some really bad deals. Ask me how I know. Early on, we would do that too much, where I would make concessions and do deals and structure them in a way that I probably shouldn't have structured them. But you know what? You're learning, right? You're growing, hopefully, right? You're learning and you're growing from those types of experiences. Because the truth is, scarcity is a terrible business partner. And if you don't know this, and maybe you already know this, and I just want to remind you, but scarcity is a terrible business partner. What do I mean by that? I mean that when you come from a place of scarcity, like what I'm describing, in other words, there's not enough for everyone. So if there's not enough to go around for everyone, that means there's not going to be enough for me down the road. So I don't know where my next lead is going to come from. When you come from a place of scarcity and you come from a mindset of scarcity, it's going to make you a terrible negotiator. And that's just the truth, because you believe that there's not enough, and so you almost come from a place of being afraid that there's not going to be enough. And when you come from a place of scarcity, that business partner is going to make you broke really quick. And you know what? I want your business to succeed, and I know that you want your business to succeed, and I want you to do well, and I know you and your family want you to do well. All right, so scarcity is a terrible business partner. Do not bring them on. One of the things that I've learned that's really impacted me in the way that I do everything, especially in business, because business is certainly not for the faint of heart, right? And I learned from T-Rob. I'm gonna bring him up again, man. He should be paying me a commission, but he has impacted my life significantly. He inspires me a great deal. One of the things that he teaches, and it's very true, is the Pareto principle, right? The 80-20 rule. And what it is he says that business is 80% psychology, or 80% mindset, and 20% mechanics. And I found this to be true. And the more that you focus on having the right mindset, in other words, not coming from a place of scarcity, not operating from a place of scarcity, especially when you're doing business, it's going to change the way that you do business, right? When you come from a place of abundance. And I won't get into that conversation a whole lot, but I will just mention it, that business is 80% psychology and 20% mechanics. If you have a strong enough why, you can overcome any how. Pretty cool. Different conversation. We're talking about leads today. Let's get back to it. The truth is that the goal is not necessarily to have a flood of leads that are coming in. It's to have a flow that you can count on. And why is that important? Because if you have a flood of leads come in, it could be a good thing, right? Depending on what your outcome is. But what's going to happen is it's going to break whatever you have in place. If you don't have a system, then it's going to break that really quick, right? It's going to create some chaos, in other words. You're not going to be able to fulfill on all of the leads that come in or convert as many leads as you could if you did have a healthy system to be able to process and work through those leads, right? So that's why a steady flow is going to beat having a flood come in every day. So that's one thing. So let me tell you about the roller coaster, right? And here it is. Here's the ride. This may sound familiar to you. You got slammed. You stop marketing to keep up. The pipe dries out. You panic. You scramble, and then it starts over. Sound familiar? And here's the reason why it happens. Because you only prospect when you're not busy. And that's the entire trap. And that is what would happen to me. So here's the trap. Let me just give you the little cycle that happens. It's a vicious cycle, but it really is. So you prospect when you're not busy, and then you get busy. And then you start doing the fulfillment piece of you're fulfilling on the promise. You're making sales, whether that's a product or a service. You get busy there. And then you're too busy to market, you're too busy to bring in leads or generate leads or do the thing that generates leads. So then you don't do it, and then you get not busy. And then all of a sudden, now you're not busy. Hey, I need to go and get some leads again. I need to generate some leads. You get busy doing that, and then you get busy and you get it, right? It's just a vicious cycle, and it's a trap that you fall into if you don't do the right things to get yourself out of that, right? So you engage in the right activity that's going to help you get out of that trap completely. So you got to market, or you got to find leads and generate leads even when you are busy. Because the dry spell, and the dry spell always shows up 60 to 90 days after you stopped filling your top of funnel, right? The dry spell always shows up about 60 to 90 days, sometimes even faster. And the terrible thing is that every famine tempts you into a deal that you're going to regret. It's going to tempt you into a deal that you will regret. And the truth is that the roller coaster feels like the market doing it to you, but it's really, what it really is, it's actually the calendar that you kept. What do you mean by that? If you engage in the right activity, then you are going to get the right types of outcomes. But if you don't, and that'll preach, man. It really will, because it applies to life as much as it applies to business. So you have to make sure that you're engaging in the right activity, because the market's not doing it to you. It's the calendar that you kept. It's the things that you did or did not do that have put you in the place that you are right now, as far as your lead flow, as far as business goes. And that will apply to life as well. The things that you do or do not do will put you in the place that you find yourself in currently. And so what do you do in those types of situations? You take responsibility, and then you take action. You take action to change the place that you are in right now. So in order to do that, you change the activity that you engage in, and you begin to change the activity that you engage in. It's going to put you in a completely different place as far as lead flow goes. So let me tell you about the time of, this was more, I don't think it was an independent occurrence more than it was a period of time. When we first started in business, I had dry spells that would scare me straight. I mean, they would scare me. And here's why. They would scare me because of the exact thing that we've been talking about. So I remember that I would get, so when I first started, I was doing a lot of guerrilla marketing, right? I didn't have a lot of money to spend on marketing and advertising. Heck, I didn't know how important marketing and advertising were to the health of our company, right? I just didn't know what I didn't know. And so I was doing a lot of guerrilla marketing, which still was, it was effective. But the problem with that is what I'm describing to you right now, right? I'd do a whole bunch of it, and then I'd get leads, and then I'd work on closing the leads. And when I would close the leads, it was a great thing, but now I'm busy fulfilling. And I didn't have a team of people. It was me doing the thing. It was me getting buyers, and it was me getting sellers. So I was sourcing both of those. I was doing guerrilla marketing, talking with contacts that were going to help me to bring in leads. I think I was spending time, and I was spending money on gas. And it was minimal at that time. And so I'm driving around doing these things. I'm busy doing fulfillment. So eventually, when I got the leads, I converted them. Well, guess what? I got super busy doing that thing. And because I got busy doing the paperwork, getting the sale closed, because nobody eats until somebody sells something in business, right? And so I would close the deal, And then I was busy doing the fulfillment, making sure the title got transferred. I was busy doing everything. And guess what would happen like 30 days, 60 days down the road? Because I stopped doing marketing for, let's say I would get a few sales towards the end of the month or the middle of the month, then I would just stop doing the marketing activity that I was. Why did I stop? Not because I didn't want to do it, but because I was so busy doing the other things. So it was only when I was not busy that I would engage in the things that brought me leads. And so this created a vicious cycle that, thank God, I got in rooms with people who are smarter than me, better than me, richer than me, and just more intelligent than me as far as business goes. Because if I had not put myself in those rooms, I would still be doing the same things that were giving me the same outcomes that I was getting back then. And thank God for that. Because what doesn't stop is bills. They don't stop coming in, man. During that time, right? And then you're watching the stinking bank account go from, it just starts to shrink. And then you're like, dang, I gotta go prospect again. So here we go, back to prospecting and getting leads. And the phone's not ringing. Why isn't the phone ringing? Because I'm not marketing. I didn't market. I was super busy fulfilling. So it's this vicious trap that you wanna make sure that you put things in place so that you're able to get yourself out of it, right? As quickly as possible. Trust me, I remember the time that happened way too well. And that's when I decided I've got to put something in place. So we decided to focus on advertising, and for us it's paid ads. We started to do marketing, and the thing that I decided that day that I'd never let my income depend on my mood again, or how busy I was or was not, right? I was going to do the thing or find a way to do the thing that I knew was going to bring us leads inconsistently. And since that time, things have been, thank God, have been very different. And so let's keep it cruising here. Very simply put, I'm gonna give you 3 pieces of the flow that you can count on, of lead flow, right? A lead flow that you can count on has 3 pieces. If you miss one, the roller coaster comes right back. And trust me, you don't wanna get back on. And here they are. It's consistent top of funnel, it's speed to lead, and it's a follow-up system that never leaks. Again, it is consistent top of funnel. It is speed to lead, and it is a follow-up system that never leaks. Now, as far as top of funnel goes, the one thing that brings in leads every week, busy or not, this is what I'm talking about when I talk about top of funnel. So you have to pick for your business what that one thing is. It could be that you're at the beginning and you're just starting out and you're doing a lot of guerrilla marketing, and that's cool. As long as you do that thing consistently and you build up enough revenue, enough capital to where you are able to, one of the options, just give you the options, right? The other one is paid ads. Whether you're doing it on Meta, whether you're doing it on Google, whatever platform you choose to run those paid ads, that's another thing that can create a consistent lead flow. That again is your top of funnel that will continue to bring in leads, whether you're busy, whether you don't feel like it, doesn't matter what happens, that will consistently bring in leads. Another thing that we've started to do, well, we've been doing it for a little bit now, but gotten really consistent, is to make content. To make content for our company so that we are consistently bringing in leads. So there are leads that come in now from 3 places for us. We still do some guerrilla marketing, right? Where we're out on the field, we're talking to people, we're meeting people, and we're meeting new contacts that are gonna help to bring revenue in. And we're also going out to different trade shows, guerrilla marketing, right? Things like that. We put out bandit signs, that's another thing. And then now we're also doing paid ads, right? We do paid ads on Meta, we do paid ads on Google, and we do the last thing that I mentioned. What was the last thing that I mentioned? We do paid ads on Google, we do the content machine that we're building. So we're building the content machine as well. And so those are some of the things that we're engaged in right now. On all of those things, thank God, have created a consistent lead flow so that we don't have to worry about where that's going to come from. That is, again, top of funnel. Next thing is speed to lead. And we've talked about this before, but it's worth mentioning again, because what the operator that answers first is going to be the operator that wins. And what that's going to give is it's going to give certainty to people, right? Certainty that you're serious, that you are in business, and that you're in business to fulfill on the promises that you make, not just to make empty promises that you're not going to be able to fulfill. So how do you do the speed thing, right? We've talked about this before. You want to make sure right now, again, the study that came out of MIT says that if you get to a lead within 5 minutes, you are 21 times more likely to close on that lead. Again, I've talked about this before. There are different ways that you can get to that lead before the 5-minute mark. One of those ways that we've set up is automations. We have an automation that fires an email immediately. We have a text automation that we have as well. And then we've got our team. It's either me or one of our team that's calling these people immediately, whether it's a seller lead or a buyer lead, doesn't matter what kind of lead comes in, somebody is getting back to them within that 5-minute mark, even if it's just to make contact. If you want to, some people have setters that are AI, voice agents, whatever it is that helps you to get to that person within those 5 minutes, use it, do it. Speed always wins as far as getting to the client goes. And the last thing is follow-up. Most money is lost in the no follow-up gap, right? You and I know this. If there are times when you're not going to get to people on the first touch, the second touch, and let me clarify. There are times when you won't be able to close people on the second, third touch, but sometimes fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, we've closed leads that we've touched from a couple of months ago that we came back to and we were able to close. Why? Because we have a follow-up system. We have an automation that runs on the back end where people are getting emailed and we're just letting them know, just like all the big players do, right? Hey, we're right here. Hey, have you changed your mind? Hey, we're still buying and selling mobile homes. Whatever the lead was, it'll fire an email to them specific to whatever line of business they were in. Line of business for us, I guess it would be if they were a buyer lead, they get buyer information. If they were a seller lead, they get seller information. You're still looking to sell your mobile home. And then we give them some tips in there, whether they're a buyer or a seller in the emails. But these things go out automated. In other words, they have been set up, boom, and put on auto repeat. So I don't have to go back and check on those things. So a follow-up system is super critical for you. So you want to make sure that you protect each one of those. Protect the top of funnel action on your calendar like a closing. If you build those three, the dry months just stop showing up. And wouldn't we all love that, right? This week, I want you to do one thing that fills up your pipeline while you are busy, not after. That single habit is the muscle that ends feast or famine for good. One consistent action protected on the calendar every week. Do it. Commit to yourself to do it. Now, we help people build this predictable lead flow together. So I take a small group of operators, 3 to 4 at a time, one-on-one, and together we climb this exact wall. It's $5,000. It's not for everyone. It's for the operator who's done staying stuck. And if that's you, I want you to DM me the word operator and I'll send you the details. I want you to hear me one more time before we go. Feast or famine was never the market doing it to you. It was the calendar that you kept. Predictable beats big every single time. So this week, one thing that fills your pipeline while you're busy, not after, and protect it like a closing. Next Thursday noon, same place, the climb continues. Nightmare number 4, the bad deals you keep saying yes to and the filter that kills them. I'll see you at the top.